For the warm-up, we're going to multiply and rewrite, or in other words, we're going to simplify. So yesterday we talked about if you're multiplying fractions, you're going to multiply straight across. So if I have 5x, which is really the same as 5x over 1, times 3x, we're going to go straight across. We'll have 5x times 3, which is 15x. And on the bottom we have 1 times x, which is x. And then we talked about simplifying. So we know that any number divided by itself is a 1, so these x's will cancel, and our answer here is 15. Yesterday we also talked about how you can cancel things before you multiply. So for example, if we have 4x squared, that means the same as 4 times x, and this is over 1, times 6 over x. And if you have anything on the same on the top and the bottom, such as this x and this x, we can cancel those before we multiply across. So now when we multiply across, we'll get 24x. Let's try the next one. So we have 8, which I can rewrite as 4 times 2 over 1 times 3x over 2. And now I can cancel the 2's, and I'll have 12x for my answer. So we're going to use that today when we look at solving equations that have fractions in them, and those are called fraction busters. So that'll be our goal for today and tomorrow. Let's start with this question first. What is 1/2 of a candy bar plus 1/2 of a candy bar? All right, so let's draw the situation. So we have 1/2 of a candy bar is this guy, plus another half of a candy bar. I'll do this half. If we put them together, that equals 1 whole candy bar. Represent the situation as an equation. All right, so we have 1/2 plus 1/2. And when we add fraction, this equals 2 halves. Another way we can write that is 2 halves or 1 whole. So when you add fractions, the denominator has to be the same. And then if the denominator is the same, you can add the numerator. So add the numerator. So adding the numerator means we're adding 1 plus 1 to get the 2, and we keep the denominator the same. And then we have 2 over 2, which we know from yesterday equals 1. So it says instead of getting a common denominator, it might be easier to get rid of the fractions. And this method can be referred to as fraction busters. And so that's our goal today. So you may have learned when you're adding fractions to get that common denominator. But there is an easier method, just getting rid of the fraction completely, and that's our goal. So we'll be given equations with fractions. Let's get rid of the fractions, and then you should be able to solve. So here are the steps for a fraction buster. And so you see this Ghostbusters thing with this x over the fraction. So the steps are identify the lowest common denominator. In other words, what number do both of the bottom numbers go into? Multiply each side of the equation by that lowest common denominator, reduce or simplify each side, and then the fraction should be busted. Solve for the missing variable. So we're going to use these steps, and we're going to solve for this first guy right here. So this is no longer multiplying, this is adding. So adding, again, we have to get rid of the 3 and the 5 on the bottom. So first step is we want the lowest common denominator. In other words, what's the smallest number that 3 and 5 both go into? So it's going to be 3 or 5 or a bigger number that they both go into. And so here it's 15. 3 and 5 can both go into 15. So that's the first step, LCD. Second step is multiply each side by the lowest common denominator. So I'm going to put this by 15. Okay, so here's what happens. We have 15 times our first fraction. And if I write that out, I have 15 times x over 3. And we know that 15 is the same as 5 times 3, and so the 3's cancel. So that will be 5x. I'm going to write it over here. Plus, we have 15 times x over 5. Again, this is 15 times x over 5. And I know that I can divide this out. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Right, so if we had 3 times 5, we cross off the 5's. And we have plus 3x. Equals, and here notice the equals 2 is also in the parentheses, so we're going to have to distribute the 15 to the 2 equals 30. So what we've done is we've multiplied everything by 15. We had some fraction buster action going on here where we could cancel things, and now we have no fractions, and now we can solve. So combine like terms, 5x plus 3x is 8x equals 30, and then we can divide each side by 8. And you get your answer. So let me calculate that. 30 divided by 8 is 3.75. So these are the steps. These are the 4 steps that I just did right here. We're going to practice these, and we're going to spend 2 days on this fraction buster idea. All right, let's just practice step 1, just lowest common denominator. Remember, if it's a whole number, this is over 1. So the lowest common denominator is the smallest number that 6 and 5 both go into, and I believe that's 30. How about this one? We have x, 5, and 2. Well, 5 and 2 go into 10, but they also need an x there because there's an x here. So if there's ever an x, you have to just add it into your lowest common denominator. And here we have 3x and x squared. So again, we have 3. And then if there's more than like an x with an exponent, you'll need that one. You'll need the highest power of x. So these are all the lowest common denominators of the first 3 examples. Now let's go a step further and actually solve. So first step, lowest common denominator. I'm going to write that over here, LCD. 2, 3, and 6 all go into 6. Second step is we're going to multiply everything by 6. Sorry, my Mobi is being funny. All right, so times 6. So let's do this first guy. So we have 6, which is 3 times 2 times x over 2. And again, some of you can do this in your head. You should know that these 2's cancel. So we're going to get 3x. Plus, and we're going to multiply this out. So again, 6 is 3 times 2 times x over 3. So here the 3's cancel. So plus 2x. Equals, and then here we have 6 times 1 over 6. And here the 6's cancel, so we get a 1. So now we have 3x plus 2x equals 1. Combine like terms, we'll get 5x equals 1. To get rid of the 5, we're going to divide each side by 5. So x equals 1/5, or I believe that's 0.2. Okay, let's try the next one. We have x, we have 1 over 1 and 7 over 1. So here the LCD is x. If we multiply those together. And let's multiply everything by x. So if we multiply this first one, x times 4 over x, the x's will cancel, we'll get 4. Here nothing cancels because there's not an x on the bottom, so this will be minus x. Same thing here. X times 7 is 7x. Okay, let's get rid of the smaller x. In this case, it's minus x, so we'll add x to each side. We get 4 equals 8x. Divide each side by 8. And if you simplify, that's the same as 0.5. Okay, we're just going to try a few more. And then your assignment starts on the next page. Maybe I'll go over some of those with you too. Okay, next one. We have x over 1. And we have a 2 and a 3 and a 22 over 1. So here the LCD is going to be 6. 2 and 3 and 1 all go into 6. So let's multiply everything by 6. All right, 6 times x is 6x plus 6x over 2. So here we're going to do 6x divided by 2. That will give us 3x plus. We have 6 times x divided by 3, so that will give us 2x equals, and here nothing cancels, so you have to multiply 22 times 6, and I get 132. Okay, so again, we're just multiplying, and then we divide it by the 2, multiply, divided by the 3. Combine like terms, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11x equals 132. And we're going to divide each side by 11. So here x equals 12. Okay, let's do this one and maybe one from your assignment. So this one we have x and 2x. The LCD, lowest common denominator, is 2x. I can multiply x by a 2 to get 2x, and I can multiply 2x by 1 to get a 2x. So let's multiply everything by 2x. If I have 2x divided by x, that leaves us with a 2, plus 2x divided by 2x is just a 1, equals 2x times 3, which is 6x. So we get 3 equals 6x. Divide each side by 6, so x equals 0.5 or 1/2. All right, let's look at your assignment. So these ones are just like the warm-up, multiply and simplify. What's the LCD? Then use fraction busters. Then we have Mark doing his work. Can you explain what he did? And then, on this side's the answer key to everything. Okay, let's just do one of these. Oh, and this is the answer key to 1 and the answer key to 2, so you can check your answers here. Okay, let's do one of these. Let's do C. So for C, the LCD of 2 x and 8 would be 8x. So I'm going to write that down here. Because we can multiply each one of these by something to get 8x. So we're going to multiply by 8x. So the first one's 8x over 2, which leaves us with 4x. Then we get 24x over x. So the x's cancel, we get 24. And then we get 8x over 8, so the 8's would cancel, we would get x. Let's subtract 4x from each side. We get 24 equals negative 3x. Divide each side by negative 3. So x will be negative 8. All right, so you're going to finish this for your assignment, and we'll spend another day looking at fraction busters tomorrow.